Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we are taking a really deep plunge into a career that's just a masterclass in Hollywood longevity and, strategic versatility.
Yeah.
We're talking about the incredible 3-decade-plus run of American actor Clifton Collins Jr.
It's actually the perfect career to deep dive into if you want to understand, like, the ecosystem of modern filmmaking.
Yeah.
For a lot of you listening, he's probably that actor, the one. The guy who consistently elevates every single project he touches.
Right.
Whether it's some huge global blockbuster or a quiet, critically adored indie film. So our mission today is really to get beyond just listing credits. We want to analyze the how.
How does he do it?
Exactly. How does one actor navigate Hollywood so successfully for so long, moving seamlessly between indie gems, massive franchises, complex TV roles, and maybe more importantly, how does he manage to consistently define a scene or sometimes even a whole series with this really intense, memorable character work for over 30 years?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that trajectory because it is phenomenal. We're not just looking at, a working actor here. We're charting a career that's genuinely defined by critical excellence.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking about a Screen Actors Guild Award winner, but also he's been nominated for a Primetime Emmy, an Independent Spirit Award, a Satellite Award, and 4 LMA awards?
Yeah, 4 LMAs.
That huge, diverse span of recognition, it immediately tells you this is a career built on really smart choices, quality, depth.
Yeah.
And a depth that's recognized, by peers, by critics, by festivals.
And what's really fascinating there, I think, is how sustained that critical achievement is. Across different mediums, too.
Yeah.
He gets recognized for major movies and prestige TV. He's celebrated in the big studio system and on the indie festival circuit. That kind of versatility, it's not common. It really shows an impressive ability to adapt his craft, whatever the project needs. Hyper-stylized action or really deep dramatic realism.
Okay, so before we dive into the specific films and roles, we kind of have to start with maybe the single most surprising detail about his early professional life, and that's the name game.
Ah, yes.
Because it gives you this immediate insight into his early positioning and maybe his commitment to legacy.
Absolutely. The name change is such a crucial piece of context here. So he was born Clifton Craig Collins Jr., simple enough, but early on, before about 1999, he made a very conscious choice. He was credited professionally as Clifton Gonzalez Gonzalez.
Clifton Gonzalez Gonzalez.
Yeah, and sometimes with the hyphen, Clifton Gonzalez Gonzalez.
That's not just a stage name, is it? That feels like a statement. It's memorable, it's colorful, it definitely places him culturally. So why? Why commit to such a distinctive name like that?
Well, it was totally intentional and pretty profound, actually. It was about honoring his family's acting legacy. His grandfather was the character actor Pedro Gonzalez Gonzalez.
Oh, right, the Westerns.
Exactly. Famous for those comedic, really memorable supporting roles in classic Westerns, comedies. And his great uncle was Jose Gonzalez Gonzalez. So choosing that double-barreled name early on, it immediately established this direct line to a specific tradition of character acting in Hollywood. It was like him saying, look, I'm part of this lineage. I bring that history.
That's fascinating. And what's interesting then, looking at the whole career arc, is the pivot back to Collins Jr. around, the turn of the millennium.
Right around 99, yeah.
So you have to ask, was that shift back, was that maybe a conscious strategic move to potentially step beyond maybe strictly ethnic roles or those highly stylized parts and leverage his mixed heritage for, a wider range of casting opportunities?
I think that's exactly the strategic implication we need to explore because the timing is almost perfect, right?
Let's shift from
Gonzalez back to Collins Jr. lines up almost exactly with those big ensemble breakthroughs like Traffic. So while the first name, Gonzalez Gonzalez, it honors that specific legacy, maybe opens doors to certain niche roles, Collins Jr. just opens up the market much wider.
Makes sense.
Collins Jr., plus you factor in his mixed ancestry German descent from his father, Mexican ancestry from his mother suddenly. Casting directors can see him in pretty much any context. It blurs those traditional lines of character assignment. So it's maybe not abandoning heritage, but embracing a broader horizon of opportunity.
That really tells you right away this career is built on mindful decisions. He's not just stumbling into parts.
No way.
So let's trace that path back. Where did it all start? The foundation.
Okay, so he was born June 16th, 1970, Los Angeles, California, which makes him 55 as of 2025, for context. And he started his professional grind right at the beginning of the 90s, which was, an incredibly fertile time for both film and TV.
Definitely.
His active career kicked off in 1990, and he wasn't afraid to jump right into the genre TV world that was really booming then.
And his actual acting debut gives you that immediate 90s genre flavor.
Right, totally. Debut was small screen, an episode of Freddy's Nightmares in 1990. So right away, you see he's comfortable in horror genre stuff. And he also popped up on the early superhero scene with The Flash that same year.
Wow, okay.
It just established him early as a working professional, someone who got the pace, the necessity of episodic TV.
But then, like, the very next year, he's in a serious A-list ensemble film.
Yeah, quick jump. His film debut came in 91, Lawrence Kasdan's big, star-studded drama, Grand Canyon. Now, it was a very small role, credited as Carlos's friend, but just being involved in a project of that caliber, working alongside that level of talent, that's crucial early exposure.
And then the rest of the 90s seemed characterized by these maybe small but often highly visible roles in really seminal films that kind of defined the era's aesthetic.
Absolutely. He got woven into the fabric of those key independent and urban cinema movements. He had small parts in the Hughes Brothers classics, Menace the Second Society in 93, and then Dead Presidents in 95. And these are films that, they demand authenticity, that street credibility.
Yeah.
And even in those minor roles, he was clearly bringing that necessary texture, just building his resume brick by brick, alongside guys who'd become heavyweights later.
The sources point to one role that was maybe a bit more substantial early on, Nino Gomez in the cult action film Fortress, 1992.
Yeah, Fortress. That's a key early supporting part. It definitely marked that crucial step up. He went from, uncredited friend or just background atmosphere to a named character, Nino Gomez, with an actual narrative function in a genre film starring Christopher Lambert, no less.
Right.
So this really establishes his utility in the action and sci-fi genres very early on. It confirms he could handle the demands of a bigger production shoot and deliver memorable character beats even with limited screen time.
So by the mid to late 90s, he's clearly shifting gears, moving from maybe just atmosphere to like outright menace. And that seems to be where the first real breakthroughs happen, leading towards that critical recognition we talked about.
That's right. The first big mainstream breakthrough really arrived in 1997. He took on the role of the gangster Cesar Sanchez in the crime drama 187.
187, yeah.
That was a role that put him squarely on the industry's radar. As someone who could bring this really intense, focused energy to a supporting antagonist part, he wasn't just in the scene anymore, he was driving the danger of the scene.
And right around that same time, we get one of those wonderful, kind of unique cult film collaborations that often pepper a great character actor's resume. The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit in 1998.
Oh, that film is such a standout on the resume just for its pedigree alone. Directed by Stuart Gordon.
The horror guy, Reanimator.
Yeah, known for his horror and genre work. But this was based on a piece written by the icon Ray Bradbury.
Wow, Bradbury.
Yeah. Collins played a character named Martinez. And the fact that he was sought out for a project blending these really eccentric talents, Gordon and Bradbury, it shows he was already getting known for bringing a kind of imaginative spark to his characters.
Okay, let's move into section 2 then, because this feels like where the career shifts dramatically. From working actor with good credits to acclaimed actor with industry awards, and really seems to kick off with that massive ensemble drama, Traffic, in 2000.
Traffic was absolutely monumental. Steven Soderbergh's huge, sweeping, interlocking story about the drug war. And Collins played Francisco Frankie Flores, a very specific, very impactful role. He was a gay hitman working for the Mexican drug cartels.
Yeah, I remember that role. He wasn't just peripheral in that movie. He felt integral to some of the most dangerous parts of the story. And that role, it demanded such a nuanced performance, right? Portraying lethal professionalism, but also blending it with his personal identity.
And that nuance definitely paid off, big time. It led to one of the biggest career milestones you can get as a supporting player. Because Traffic was such a critical hit, such a successful ensemble piece, he, along with the entire main cast, won the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture.
The SAG Award from his peers.
Exactly. That award is the ultimate validation from fellow actors. It says, you were a crucial, effective part of this powerful, award-winning machine.
And that SAG win, it doesn't just get you a trophy on the shelf. It gives you license, right, to be more selective, maybe more bankable. And you can see that selectivity almost immediately in his next choices. starting with that military drama, The Last Castle, in 2001.
Right after the ensemble win, he pivots and takes on a role that demonstrates authority, discipline. He played Corporal Ramon Aguilar, a U.S. Marine prisoner, alongside Robert Redford and James Gandolfini.
Quite the company.
Seriously. And it's a very different kind of character. Rigid, structured, but operating in this really complex prison environment. And this performance shifting from the, fluid menace of a cartel hitman to the structured bearing of a Marine, it earned him his first major solo recognition, an LMA Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture in 2002.
Oh, okay.
So he was successfully translating that critical momentum from the ensemble win into individual nominations, proving his own specific contribution.
So he's stacking up the ensemble wins, the individual nominations. But the next role we really need to deep dive into. This one truly cemented his serious dramatic chops. The immense subtlety required for Capot in 2005.
Oh, Capote. Yeah, that's a definitive dramatic achievement in his filmography for sure. He took on the role of Perry Edward Smith, the convicted killer at the absolute center of Truman Capote's research for In Cold Blood. This was not a role for swagger or flash. This required deep internalization, vulnerability, immense restraint.
Playing a real-life, notorious killer like that?
Sure.
It must demand tremendous preparation. What did the critics really zero in on with his performance?
The sources repeatedly note that he won reviews, specifically for his delicate and subtle portrayal. I mean, to play Perry Smith effectively, an actor has to convey that inherent conflict, right? The capacity for monstrous violence, but juxtaposed with this surprising vulnerability, maybe even a childlike quality sometimes. And that requires intensive work. Researching the real man, probably some method acting to get into that psychological space, but also the discipline to pull back, to let the audience see the pain behind the crime. It was just a standout moment in terms of complex dramatic weight.
And the industry certainly recognized it again.
Absolutely. The film itself is Oscar nominated, of course, and Collins earned his second Screen Actors Guild Award nomination for Outstanding Performance by a Cast.
Second SAG nom.
Yeah. And getting that second one in a completely different kind of ensemble, it just confirmed that his presence was becoming a consistent sign of quality filmmaking. He was quickly solidifying himself as this indispensable anchor for prestige projects.
Now, while his film career was clearly soaring, he didn't just abandon the small screen, did he? In fact, he secured Emmy recognition around this time for a leading role, proving his depth wasn't just limited to the movies.
That's right. That was for the FX series Thief in 2006. He starred as Jack Bumphill. He was a main cast member alongside the great Andre Braugher.
Oh, wow. Braugher.
Yeah, so this wasn't just a supporting spot. This was a lead role in a limited series. It demanded major screen time, narrative responsibility, and he delivered big time. Earned a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a miniseries or a movie.
The Emmy nomination there feels really key, because it proves his ability to anchor a critically successful narrative wasn't just in film. He could carry that critical weight on premium television just as effectively.
It's the ultimate utility player skill set, isn't it? He showed he could shift seamlessly from, the subtle internal agony of Capote to the focused high-stakes drama of a series lead in Thief, all within basically a single year's work. Incredible range.
That sets the stage perfectly for Section 3, which really has to be about his almost impossible versatility. This is where he proves he can pivot from, a gay hitman to an Emmy-nominated thief to a historical killer, all within a few years, and really solidify his position as the kind of actor of choice for the cinematic elite.
Yeah, this section really underscores his mastery of that supporting lead role. You see, when top directors need someone who can instantly ground an unusual character, someone who can adapt immediately to a unique cinematic language, they call him, he becomes the ultimate, auteur connector.
Okay, let's run through some of the names then. The incredible roster of directors who've specifically sought him out. Starting with someone famously atmospheric and challenging, Alejandro González Iñárritu.
Right, he worked with Iñárritu in Babel back in 2006. He played an officer at the border crossing. Now, it's a small role on paper, but absolutely critical functionally within that huge, globally interconnected story. And Iñárritu, he demands actors who can immediately communicate complex character context without relying on a ton of exposition.
Oh.
Collins delivers that.
Then he worked with the famously meditative, often improvisational Terrence Malick. That's a completely different skill set required.
Totally different. He was Jordan in Malick's Knight of Cups in 2015, and Malick's style, It often minimizes sharp dialogue, right? It relies heavily on an actor's presence, their mood, their ability to just react truthfully within this loose kind of philosophical structure. And Collins showed he could thrive there too.
And of course, the director who practically demands hyper-specific character embodiment, Quentin Tarantino.
Tati Tarantino, right? In 2019, he played Ernesto, the Mexican vaquero, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Tarantino uses actors who can just embody a highly specific, often larger-than-life character with immediate memorability, instant flavor, and swagger. Collins fits that bill perfectly, added essential spice to that chaotic 1969 LA landscape.
And finally, the master of dark, intricate fantasy, Guillermo del Toro.
Yep. In Del Toro's beautiful, bleak Nightmare Alley from 2021, Collins played Funhouse Jack. So when you see him collaborating with these four really distinct, iconic directors, Iñárritu, Malick, Tarantino, Del Toro, it just confirms his standing. Not just as a great actor, but as this amazing utility player who can adapt his presence to any specific cinematic voice, no matter how stylized or demanding it is.
Beyond just working with great directors, though, he also takes on roles that seem to require immense physical commitment, real character challenges, like his work in that critically lauded indie film Sunshine Cleaning in 2008.
Oh, that role is such a beautiful illustration of his commitment, a real deep dive into character technique itself. He played Winston, the owner of a cleaning supply shop, and Winston spends his time building these incredibly meticulous, detailed model airplanes. But the key detail, the character was one-armed.
Hang on. The sources say he actually played the role with one arm bound tightly behind his back. Like he physically acted the entire role disabled.
That's what they say. He chose to perform the role with his dominant arm basically incapacitated, which is, it's an astounding physical choice. It goes way beyond just simple prep work.
Yeah.
It guarantees the director absolute authenticity. It avoids any visual distraction or, limitations of using CGI or prosthetics. It just shows this dedication to the realism, the nuance of the character that you usually only see from the most dedicated, method leads. And that kind of willingness to transform, to commit completely, that's why these auteurs find him so valuable.
Yeah.
He kind of eliminates potential production headaches by just delivering total immersion.
That is a staggering level of dedication. Okay, now let's look at the year 2009, because that year seems to stand out as the ultimate proof of his simultaneous genre bending. He did, 4 major films that year? Across the whole spectrum. It addresses that question. Does juggling genres dilute his dramatic brand?
Yeah, 2009. Far from dilution, I think it shows really strategic balancing. So first, he dove into the massive sci-fi blockbuster Star Trek, J.J. Abrams' reboot. He played AL, a Romulan, second in command to Eric Bana's villain, Nero.
Right, under all that makeup.
Exactly. Required prosthetics, unique dialect work, action sequences, and that performance actually earned him yet another ALMA nomination. So this fulfills that need for high-profile franchise visibility, box office exposure, checks that box.
And then immediately after Star Trek, he pivoted straight back to hyper-stylized, gritty, adrenaline-fueled action and crime.
Right back into it. He was Jesus El Huron, Verona, and Crank, high voltage, just delivering this chaotic, high-octane performance. And he joined the cult sequel, The Boondock Saints II, All Saints Day as Romeo. These really explosive roles, they demand high-energy swagger. It's like fulfilling the promise of those early gangster parts from the 90s, but now with much greater visibility.
And yet at the same time, concurrently, he was balancing all that action with intense psychological drama.
Exactly. He was also in the experiment as the character Nix, joining major talents like Adrian Brody and Forrest Whitaker in this really tight psychological thriller. So 2009 perfectly encapsulates that supporting lead strategy, right? Balance the high visibility of the blockbuster Star Trek with the artistic fulfillment of the psychological drama, the experiment, and keep working in the high-energy action genre he excels in, like Crank and Boondock Saints. It just ensures he's never pigeonholed and always in demand.
Okay, let's turn our attention back to his steady presence on television. Because prestige TV really relies on these reliable, transformative character actors for stability, and he's been a mainstay across several major networks, providing that high-quality anchor.
Yeah, his TV work is absolutely essential to his whole profile. For NBC, he was Thomas, a main cast member on that mysterious drama, The Event, that ran from 2010 to 2011.
And then, shifting gears again over to HBO's World of Sports agency, XS, Ballers.
Right. He was Maximo Gomez, a recurring character on the Dwayne Johnson series Ballers from 2015 to 2017. He was really key to establishing the flavor, the kind of behind-the-scenes dynamics of that whole sports world, always playing the shrewd operator.
But maybe his most defining, most recognizable TV role, certainly for newer generation of viewers, is in that world of synthetic cowboys and really complex narratives, Westworld.
Ah, Westworld. Yeah, that role, Lawrence, also known as El Lazo, is just a fantastic showcase for him. He was main cast in seasons 1 and 2, guested in season 3, and the character description itself, it just perfectly encapsulates the ideal Collins role. A charming but lethal outlaw with a knack for maneuvering and negotiating the various criminal elements.
Sounds about right.
That blend of charm, danger, narrative intelligence, it's his absolute specialty. And it brought him consistent visibility on one of HBO's biggest prestige series of the last decade. Huge platform.
And we really can't overlook the digital landscape either. I mean, to stay relevant in the 21st century, you kind of have to cross platforms. And he is permanently immortalized in the world of video games.
This is actually a huge stamp on pop culture longevity. He voiced the character Cesar Villalpando in the monster hit Grand Theft Auto San Andreas way back in 2004.
Oh, wow, Caesar. Yeah.
Right. And voice acting in a franchise like GTA, it requires creating this iconic, instantly recognizable character that literally tens of millions of people interact with directly. And his performance was so essential, so defining, that his original recordings were used again for the 2021 remaster, Grand Theft Auto. The trilogy, the definitive edition.
That's amazing.
It gives him this unique cross-generational reach that most actors just don't have.
That depth of involvement across film, TV, and video games really separates him from the typical supporting actor maybe focused only on film. But the versatility extends even further, right? Beyond performance entirely. He's also a director and an author.
It's true. He's showcased creative endeavors behind the camera and on the page too, which demonstrates this passion that goes beyond just, interpreting scripts. Back in 2008, he directed 2 music videos for the huge country music group Zac Brown Band.
And the success wasn't just minor league either, right? One of those videos actually won a major award.
Yeah, Chicken Fried, which he directed, won the 2009 CMT Breakthrough Music Video of the Year award, which confirms he has a real visual storytelling sense and the ability to manage a production crew effectively. It's kind of a testament to his overall command of the medium.
And then demonstrating maybe his authorial interest and that deep, sustained fascination with the sort of criminal elements he often portrays, he co-wrote a book.
Yes, in 2015, he co-wrote his first book. It's called Prison Ramen, Recipes and Stories from Behind Bars, co-written with Gustavo Goose Alvarez.
Prison Ramen. Okay, that's unexpected.
It's a totally unexpected title, right? A collection of recipes and stories related to prison life. But it actually fits perfectly with his recurring fascination with the psychology, the mechanics of those confined, complex characters he's built a career inhabiting. It feels like another way of conducting research, building context, and just showcasing his unique perspective.
That takes us nicely into Section 4, focusing now on the more recent peak of his independent performance and his continued career momentum. Now, while his strength is clearly often as that supporting lead, we should talk about one of his rare true leading man roles in the sports drama, The Perfect Game.
Right, The Perfect Game. Released in 2007, this film really showcases his ability to carry the emotional weight as the central figure. He played Cesar Faz, a former baseball player. And the story, it's this wonderful underdog narrative about Faz coaching a local Mexican youth league team and eventually lead them all the way to the Little League World Series.
So this role let him fully inhabit that mentor figure, the dramatic lead, focused on inspiration, redemption. Not the colorful supporting bad guy for once. It really highlights his genuine ability to emotionally anchor and carry a film when he gets the chance.
It's such a crucial marker. Because while the industry often, defaults to using him in those highly memorable supporting utility roles, The Perfect Game proves he absolutely has the dramatic range and the audience appeal to lead a heartfelt, critically successful project. It shows the complete toolkit is there.
He also kept participating in those later high-profile ensemble crime projects, confirming he's still bankable in that genre too.
His consistency there is just remarkable. In 2016, he was Detective Franco Rodriguez in 999, working alongside this massive ensemble cast: Affleck, Mackie, Harrelson, Winslet.
Stacked cast.
Totally stacked. And then in 2018, he had a role as Gustavo in Clint Eastwood's film The Mule. It just shows when a major film needs an intense, reliable performance in a high-stakes scenario, Collins Jr. is still that reliable call.
But the absolute apex of his individual critical recognition seems to have come most recently with the independent film jockey in 2021.
Yeah.
We really need to dedicate some time to this role because it feels like the culmination of his craft.
Jockey is. Yeah, it's arguably the career high point in terms of pure individual artistic achievement. He played the lead role, Jackson Silva, a veteran jockey trying to overcome injuries, grappling with his legacy as his career is winding down. And the performance was just transformative. It required incredible physical and emotional mastery to capture the essence of this weathered athlete facing obsolescence.
And the awards recognition for this specific lead role was pretty substantial, wasn't it? Really validating that shift from ensemble anchor to potential solo star.
No, the recognition was massive, especially for an independent film. He won the Sundance Film Festival U.S. Dramatic Special Jury Award for Best Actor. That's a victory decided by fellow artists and critics. It signals profound respect for the craft itself. That's a major, major win. And on top of that, he received an Independent Spirit Award nomination for Best Male Lead and a Satellite Award nomination for Best Actor in a Motion Picture. This whole collection of honors, it places him squarely in the conversation for Best Dramatic Film Actors of that year, period. Not just Best Supporting Actors.
That whole transition then, from a supporting role in Traffic earning an ensemble SAG win back in 2000, to a lead role in Jockey earning a Sundance Special Jury Award in 2021, that shows the full, 30-year arc of his mastery and his continued pursuit of these profound artistic challenges.
It really demonstrates that critics, festival juries, they recognize his profound commitment to character, whether he has 5 minutes of hyper-specific screen time for Tarantino or 95 minutes carrying the full emotional weight of an indie darling like Jockey. They see the quality.
And he's clearly not slowing down either. What's on the immediate horizon for him?
His continued activity remains, characteristically diverse. In film, he popped up as Senator Oscar Diaz in that hugely popular romantic comedy Red, White, and Royal Blue in 2023. He was in the action thriller The Bricklayer in 2024. And he's got the announced, highly anticipated Western drama Train Dreams coming up, where he's slated to play a character named Eddington Lodge.
And back to prestige television, it sounds like he's tackling a hugely sensitive, real-life dramatic subject next, which requires, the utmost gravity and precision.
That's right. The upcoming series Unspeakable, The Murder of John Benet Ramsey, he's set to play Thomas Trujillo in that. So again, he's chosen a role that demands that grounded, reality-rooted dramatic performance, highlighting the depth and gravity he can bring to true crime narratives.
So before we wrap this up, we probably need to just reiterate the scope of his impact based on some of the special honors he's received. Honors that kind of summarize the unique strategic position he holds in Hollywood.
Yeah, these special honors, they really validate his cultural and artistic importance beyond just individual credits. In 2019, he received the Impact Award from the National Hispanic Media Coalition. That was for outstanding performance in film and television, acknowledging his influence on representation and quality.
Important recognition.
Very. And then in 2021, the SCAD Savannah Film Festival presented him with their Distinguished Performance Award.
The word distinguished feels absolutely perfect there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It speaks not just to the quality of his work, but the consistency of his choices over decades.
It absolutely does. It summarizes a career defined by these deliberate, high-quality choices and this recognized versatility that's allowed him to sustain relevance across every major Hollywood format for, 30-plus years now?
This has been a true deep dive into an artist of just incredible strategic range. We've charted a career defined by continuous transformation. From, honoring legacy with the name Gonzalez Gonzalez to anchoring ensemble winners like Traffic, all the way to the artistic peak of his award-winning independent lead in Jockey.
Yeah.
And all of this while maintaining this consistent presence in massive defining franchises like Star Trek and prestige series like Westworld. It's remarkable.
The synthesis feels pretty clear, right? Clifton Collins Jr.'s whole trajectory demonstrates that true critical success and real Hollywood longevity often lies not just in chasing that ephemeral A-list lead status, but in consistently delivering complex, memorable, and often transformative character work. He leveraged that ensemble recognition, like the SAG Awards for Traffic and Capote, to earn the artistic license, the trust required for major individual awards, like that Sundance Prize for Jockey. He really mastered the art of being the indispensable supporting lead.
It really is a masterclass in adaptation and career strategy. An actor with this level of adaptability, this critical respect, and often leaves us asking, is the true mark of Hollywood longevity the ability to just inhabit every single corner of the cinematic universe? Sometimes strategically in the background of a hit, sometimes fiercely right in the center of an indie darling?
Indeed. And maybe that raises the question for you, the listener. Considering the complete arc of his career, from that strategic name change way back when, to the sheer physical commitment of playing Winston in Sunshine Cleaning, to the profound emotional weight of Jackson Silva in Jockey, which specific choice or which performance do you find most essential to truly understanding the scope and maybe the importance of his unparalleled career?